the news.
Let's talk about Bad Bunny.
Ooh.
So not to say I was intrigued by the hype / controversy around him didn't really necessarily interest me. It was just like it was on par for the course in terms of Bad Bunny plays at Super Bowl. He is Latino. He generally he's refusing to speak English. So MAGA had an issue with that. So just the usual cultural war politics, I would argue, just around the Super Bowl anyway, I wasn't necessarily interested in. But then I think I kind of came upon this story on Instagram, not the article, but the idea of him essentially kind of being a voice of the resistance in Puerto Rico. So that kind of perked my interest a little bit more because we've heard of this type of stance in music before.
Yeah.
And and like I know, as I said earlier, like a lot of my close friends in DC are Latino. So obviously, I know of Bad Bunny. I hear his music at least once a week.
Yeah.
Don't know a word of it because I don't speak Spanish, but like,
it
sounds fine to me.
Yeah, pick up
don't
a couple
have
here and there,
man, whatever. But it got me a little intrigued. So wanted to do two things to kind of beat the algorithm a little bit. Kind of mention the story. He's kind of trending right now. But I think we're gonna try to kind of dig into this a little bit deeper in terms of his music, and is it really truly the voice of the resistance in terms of what I've been hearing people online saying about him. So we're gonna dive into it a little bit more. So don't think we've used this publication before, LA Taco. But this is where at least we're gonna kind of pull a lot of the main ideas from, but then we're gonna go into a little bit more into another article that I'll read after this. And we've talked about, I think you and I have collectively talked about Puerto Rico in the past in terms of its colonial history, but I don't think anything more recently in terms of the current issues. I think people think of Hurricane Maria, probably a more recent zeitgeist in political news, and especially with Trump, how he just like ignored Puerto Rico until he. Oh.
Yeah, you're catching up. It'll be all right.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. So yeah, like obviously, I think when people think of Puerto Rico, I think now Hurricane Maria and how Trump basically avoided Puerto Rico until he had to, and then he was throwing the paper towels at people, which people had a fit over. But there are other issues that stem from within the island that I think a lot of people may not necessarily know. I think we've kind of talked about them a little bit, but I think that definitely plays a part into the significance of who Bad Bunny is and how he's being perceived as a voice of the resistance, and how, in my mind, that I don't think that's a very accurate moniker for him, at least. So we'll get into that, though. So this article is written by, and I'm going to butcher all these Spanish names, so forgive me. But
Gabriel
Buelna. No, it's not Nya, but
definitely not Nya.
Buelna and Enrique Buelna, I guess.
I forget exactly
where they write.
My Puerto Ricanos, I think L's are like B's, but could be wrong in this particular case. Might not be Puerto Ricanos, but sure. Enrique and Gabriel.
Right. They title Bad Bunny's middle finger to white assimilation. By singing entirely in Spanish and refusing to apologize, Bad Bunny is telling millions of Americans to stop sitting on the sidelines as he takes the biggest stage in the world at next year's Super Bowl. So, Gabriel and Enrique write, by now, most of us have heard that Bad Bunny will perform at the Super Bowl in February 2026. The game always commands national attention, but this time it's sending MAGA Lania into a meltdown, the mythical place where folks wave flags, eat wings and nachos, and rage about their culture being under attack. The outrage is almost comical. Marjorie Taylor Greene now wants to make English the official language, a tired, punitive gesture meant to silence brown communities. We've heard that tune before, and it's still off key. But the real question is, why did the NFL choose Bad Bunny? It's not because they suddenly care about Latinos. They don't care about our culture, language, or history. What they do understand is demographics and money. The U.S. is well on its way to becoming a minority-majority nation, and Latinos are driving that shift. Catching up, I guess. No matter how many of us that ICE and MAGA want to deport, we are still here. Our community now generates more than $4 trillion annually in GDP. That's power, and is exactly what fuels the MAGA panic, anger, and meltdown. For over a century, assimilationists have pushed one vision of America: English-speaking, white, and Western European. WASP. Yep. In other words. Everyone else was expected to abandon their language and heritage and feel grateful just to belong. Some of us have even bought into this, but this fantasy was always false. Multiculturalism has been America's reality since before its founding. Spanish, for instance, was spoken here long before the American Constitution was written. English only and white cultural supremacy were forced ideas, never natural ones. Yes, English matters. It's the current common language of law, commerce, and literature, but it's not the only one. And speaking Spanish is as American as pan dulce. It's also constitutionally protected. Which brings us back to Bad Bunny. Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio is 100% American, bilingual, bicultural, and unapologetically Puerto Rican. Puerto Rico became a U.S. colony in 1898 after the Spanish-American War. Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens, even those on the island can't vote for president. Let that sink in. Across all Latino communities, Chicanos, Mexicans, Dominicans, Cubans, Central and South Americans, few things unite us like language. A 2023 Pew Research study found that 65% of Latinos say it's very important that future generations speak Spanish. Only 5% says it's not important at all. So when Bad Bunny takes the stage, he's not performing. He's not just performing. He's also representing cultural pride and defiance, the right to exist in Spanish and as a Latino on the biggest stage in the world. Bad Bunny's presence challenges U.S. policies on immigration, poverty in Puerto Rico, and the colonial mindset that keeps Latinos in their place. He might even be challenging America's continued colonial rule in Puerto Rico. Whoops. Did I skip?
I don't think so. I think you're good.
Okay.
This one. There you go.
Oh, next one. Yeah. Something he's been singing about since 2016 when he broke into the business is with his song Soy Peor. Commenting on social issues in Puerto Rico. He hasn't stopped since. Just listen to his latest album, Nadie sabe lo que va
Nadie sabe la que va a pasar mañana. Don't worry, I got you, bro. Floridians here, dude. We got this shit.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. A 17-track collection that pays tribute to Puerto Rico and included songs like Lo que le pasa a Hawaii.
Yep.
Warning about gentrification and over-tourism in his homeland and urging folks to hold on to the Puerto Rican flag. So we'll talk more about that in a bit. By singing entirely Spanish and refusing to apologize, he's telling millions of us to stop sitting on the sidelines. His concerts bring both pride and revenue to Puerto Rico. His art speaks to communities terrorized by ICE and ignoring the cowardly politicians. He's pushing boundaries around gender, language, and sovereignty, topics many still fear to say out loud. For some, seeing a brown man speaking Spanish and, God forbid, wear a dress is unbearable. For others, it's liberation. Bad Bunny might just be this generation's Benito Juarez, a reformer wielding art instead of law, rhythm instead of decrees. Juarez liberated a nation. Bad Bunny just might be the catalyst for liberating people. Maybe he's not just only liberating Puerto Ricans. And the best part, whoops.
No, I think that was an old one.
Next slide. Next slide.
There it goes.
Yeah.
We're just going back.
And the best part, he speaks perfect English. In fact, his mother taught English.
Yeah.
He just chooses not to bow to it. He chooses Spanish as a message of resistance. He chooses Puerto Rico. He chooses to love his people loudly, defiantly, and in his own language. That's not ingratitude. It's freedom set to a reggaeton beat. Now that's a message anyone can understand. So when Mr. Bunny challenges Americans to learn Spanish in the next 4 months, that's what he said on SNL. So that's kind of one of the things that MAGA got crazy about.
Upset about.
Let's take him up on the challenge. So I have thoughts on this, and I'll get into that later. But so far, you're somewhat more well-versed in Puerto Rican culture than me, kind of, I guess.
Yep.
Any thoughts on this? Or any?
I mean, he's just another artist for the most part. I mean, like most Puerto Rican artists, they represent. You know, you kind of have to, right? You're going to throw lyrics are going to be referencing Taino and Boricua and like all that shit. You're going to fucking throw down. You know, you're going to be put the timbales on and whatever. Like it's part of it. Like, especially because it's such a small subsect of Spanish culture as well, right? Like, especially when you go from the island to New York, you have that very like Pocolo, like Southside generation shit going on. You know, that's a big part of that like it's such a big part of American culture without realizing it. Like, of course, there's going to be someone that's like pushing those boundaries. I mean, the dude's a powerhouse as far as like, he's like what? Like globally one of the best artists, like promotionally.
Yeah.
Like he's killing it.
I saw that in your chat. Like someone is like him, I think Sean was saying that. Like
him, I know that like the Brazilian cats over there are also doing extremely well globally. Like people are just digging like the, you know, Afro Latin beats, which I can't blame them for. Pretty good stuff rhythmically. So I find it like, I mean, I find it interesting. Of course, all the like, there's going to be narratives around it because, dudes, you don't make it to the Super Bowl without having capitulated to capitalism to some degree. So
now, see, here's the. So I'll just say this. So in my mind, here's the hypocrisy here, because conservatives are acting like, oh, people are not going to listen to all this and all that. Then explain K-pop then, because it's not just liberals who are listening to K-pop. Like the biggest movie right now is K-pop Demon Hunters right now. That is not just liberal kids and adults watching that shit. No. That's conservatives too.
Well, look,
and I'm sure like if it were like BTS or Blackpink who are performing at the Super Bowl,
they'd be just as upset.
Like
they'd be just as upset.
Maybe. I'm talking more about the old farts, not necessarily like the younger people. Yeah. Like, I'm not necessarily going to have a problem with this. And even with Bad Bunny, it's not even like, I don't think the younger they may not know who he is, but I don't think they're going to be as concerned about Bad Bunny compared to like the old farts who are like, "Oh my god, like we don't know what he's gonna
compare
say,"
that to
and
like last couple of years, you know, they've
like,
had like Dr. Dre or whatever. They got just as upset as like Kendrick and them doing it and whatever. It's just like standard culture war like narrative, honestly. You know, I think what it is
right,
though is that like the youth, especially regardless of like demographics, are such internationally plugged in. You know, they're playing video games with people in
yeah,
like Venezuela. They're like, you know,
right.
they're
No,
doing these
like,
things.
I mean,
So
case in point, anime. Like,
yeah,
you have conservative. Everyone likes anime. So again, it's not just like conservatives. It's not liberal people that is just watching like, and it's not even niche anymore. It's
no,
like we are so far more connected now, especially given social media. That like, I remember like watching MTV like in the '90s. Like there was like the VMAs. Like there was like a demographic where there was like best international artists like from different places, and most of those people it was like who, like, because it was so hard back then to even hear their music, much less know who they were,
yeah,
given to how isolated we were from each other. Maybe at best Europe you might have heard some of that music, but only if it was popular here. Now with social media and the internet, it's like you can hear anybody anywhere
yeah,
and be into them and like know who they are. And like, and again, given the rise of K-pop, anime, like Afro beats is kind of a thing, kind of somewhat
mm-hmm.
like reggaeton,
Reggaeton,
especially
dance
in the
hall,
early aughts. like like
throwing on
I think it
Shava
also kind of
ranks
shows how
and
how right. I think it also kind of shows like how I think people, especially in music, are just kind of getting bored with the same pop,
yeah,
like even in the States, like the same beats all the freaking time. Like people
yeah,
just want to hear
yeah. Throw
something
some
different.
clave
And
in
I
there,
think that's
you know.
right. So I think that the exposure is helping people just be more connected culturally, especially if you music, especially if you don't necessarily speak the language, you can still bump and twerk to it. Like, so I think it's so I do appreciate that about Bad Bunny and what he represents. Especially within my Latino friends, like when they hear him, a lot of them like are just really,
Yeah, get the fuck, get on the
again,
dance floor. Let's fucking right.
right. So, but that being said, let's get into the next article. Um, this is from the Latin Times. This is written by Salome Beyer Velez, who questions Bad Bunny, a voice of Puerto Rican resistance. Benito is reminding newer generations of who they are and where they come from, a scholar told the Latin Times when analyzing the significance of Debbie Tiara Mas Photos. So that's his most recent album
Right.
that he had out this year. Um,
You got it. Go one more.
so
There you go.
there you go. All right. So she writes, Debbie Tira Mas Photos, or I Should Have Taken More Photos, the latest album by Puerto Rican artist Bad Bunny, climbed to #1 on Billboard's 200 albums chart in only 5 days and has maintained that position for 4 consecutive weeks. It is the second of the reggaeton artist albums to achieve this feat, this time being out artists like SZA, Kendrick Lamar, and Taylor Swift. During its first week, the album garnered over 263 million on-demand official streams and earned
203,000.
203,500 equivalent album units in the United States alone, as reported by Rolling Stone. That's why he's playing
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's popular.
Like,
it's very
popular.
easy. You know?
Move it. There you
There
go.
it goes.
This achievement is all the more impressive when considering that the artist's discography is solely sung in Spanish. In fact, Bad Bunny's El Ultimito
Del Mundo.
Tour Del Mundo in 2020 became Billboard's first all-Spanish language album to hit #1 on Billboard's 200 history. When asked by the New York Times if he was worried about listeners not understanding his music, he said, "I don't care."
Yeah, it's still music.
Comprising a
Shut the
track
fuck up and dance.
Right.
It'll be fine. Like,
right.
you know.
Comprising a track list of 17 songs, Debí Tiras Más Fotos merges from the well-known reggaeton beats in which Bad Bunny started his career with salsa and peña, reflecting the artist's Puerto Rican roots. It also features other Boricua artists like Now, Chuy, Omar Coors, and Los Paños de la Cresta, a band dedicated to keeping the folk Afro-Boricua plena genre alive. So I am sorry for butchering.
You did it. You got all of it. You were good.
Okay.
Boricua is the only one you can, but
beyond
that's
celebrating, beyond celebrating Puerto Rican culture, the album is also one of resistance and political activism. Lo que los pasó a Hawaii, What Happened to Hawaii track, Bad Bunny warns Boricuas by comparing Puerto Rico's struggle with neo-imperialism and gentrification with Hawaii's own.
Right.
They want to take the river and the beach. They want to take my neighborhood and for grandma to leave. Don't let go of the flag. Don't forget the LOI.
Yeah.
Don't let them do what they did to Hawaii, the artist sings. All right. Puerto Rico, a Spanish colony since the late 15th century, was acquired by the United States following the 1898 Spanish-American and establishing as an incorporated U.S. territory. The U.S. Constitution allows for the unequal treatment of its territories compared to states, as long as there is a rational basis for such a difference. As scholar Samantha Rivera Joseph points out, the dichotomy of being both American citizens and colonial subjects has situated Puerto Ricans in a political purgatory that makes them particularly vulnerable to exploitation of their land and resources in the United States.
Yep. Go.
Do you mind moving it for me?
I got it. Yeah.
Thank you. In spite of being U.S. citizens, Puerto Ricans do not have full representation in Congress. Those who live on the island can't vote in federal elections, and their local policies and legislations are superseded by federal mandates. Puerto Ricans voted for the island's independence first in 1914, a call that was ignored but met with granting Boricuas U.S. citizenship. In the 1930s, however, a strong independence movement emerged, led by Harvard-educated lawyer Pedro Albizu Campos. This movement was faced with retaliation, such as the killing of 19 Nationalist Party members led by U.S.-led police in the southern city of Ponce, known as the Ponce Massacre, and the bombing of the central Jayuya and Hurtado towns. Yep. It was now recognized as the first time that the U.S. bombed its own citizens. Today, independence is unpopular amongst Puerto Ricans. A 2024 poll conducted by the local paper El Nuevo Dia found that only 90% of Boricuas support independence. The island, however, has voted for statehood several times, as per the Puerto Rico Statehood Council, which is working to build a national movement in support of equal rights through Puerto Rican statehood. Speaking with the Land Times, however, Dr. Itiza Haddad Nunez, Puerto Rican-born adjunct professor at Southern New Hampshire University and founder of the Friendly Law NGO, explained that the American influence extends beyond politics. The media sold Puerto Ricans an idea of who we should be instead of who we are, so we will make an effort to search for those American traits that were blasted in our faces as desirable. It created a mindset, especially on little kids, of what we should look like, what we're meant to be, so it became easier to erase our history from the inside, Dr. Haddad Nunez said. Puerto Ricans have forgotten their history, and although they have maintained their identity, it has become easier to assimilate to American standards, Dr. Haddad Nunez argues. Our language was banned, our flag was banned, but we, as rebellious as we were, kept showing it and speaking Spanish, the scholar recalls. The U.S. did ban both the Spanish language and the Puerto Rican flag with the 1948 gag law, which criminalized expressive acts of Puerto Rican independence. Efforts to invalidate the law under the First Amendment were unsuccessful until 1957. They killed people here for showing the flag, which is why I now bring it with me wherever I go. Bad Bunny sings on his newest album's 17th track, La Mudanza, The Move. The scholar attributes the current rejection of many Boricuas to questions of statehood or independence to feel distilled by the U.S. in the island through such actions. Remember, rejection comes from fear. They'd rather have the comfort of the limbo that we have than nothing at all because fear of the unknown is too much, she explained. Bad Bunny, however, is rescuing those aspects of history that many have forgotten and of which have prompted an assimilation into U.S. culture, Dr. Haddad Nunez explained. Benito is reminding newer generations of who they are and where they come from, she said. On his album, Benito speaks of his fellow countrymen being displaced to mainland U.S. due to corruption within the island, and of the Boricua diaspora in New York's Bronx borough specifically.
Yep.
As per the Department of Economic Development and Commerce, 4,500 individuals and businesses relocated from Puerto Rico to the mainland between 2012 to 2019, a number that has only continued to rise. This increasing wave of outward migration coincides with the 2012 tax exemption decree passed by the Legislative Assembly of Puerto Rico to attract and develop key industries from manufacturing and film to hospitality. The 2019 Law 60, similarly created by the Office of Incentives for Business in Puerto Rico, tasked with administering the tax incentives. This means that foreign investors to Puerto Rico benefit from a forward income tax rate on eligible income, 100% tax exemption on capital gains from eligible investments, and 75% exemption from property for initial 15 years. Law 60 has been instrumental in attracting foreign business and entrepreneurs, which benefit from its incentives to establish their operations on the island. This has resulted in the creation of close to 28,000 jobs, strengthening key sectors such as advancing manufacturing and technology, explained Ella Warder-Niez, CEO of Invest Puerto Rico, a nonprofit that promotes business and capital investment on the island, in conversation with Land Times. Warder-Niez also stressed that through tax incentives and a general promotion of direct foreign investment, Puerto Rico has sought to create well-paying jobs, a diversification of the economy, and access to technology and innovation. However, a side effect of this capital injection and the appealing tropical island to which investors can move to while enjoying tax breaks is gentrification.
Yep.
You probably could have guessed that just giving all of that.
Yep.
Affordable housing is one of the biggest issues on the island right now. Even Puerto Ricans in the diaspora are wanting to come back and buy property to create some generational wealth, but they mention how difficult it is for them to be allowed to invest. They say how it's not until they have a colleague or friend with a very American name who can pass for them, and suddenly everything is expedited, Dr. Haddad Nunez explained. Journalist Bianca Guarlo, who previously collaborated with Bad Bunny in the music video for El Apagón, The Blackout, released a short film exploring this issue. In it, Raul Santiago Bartolome, an assistant professor at the University of Puerto Rico, explained that gentrification does not happen throughout the island, but rather in certain cities. If you live in places where foreign investment is evident, in the future you will probably have to move because prices will go up so much that you will not be able to afford life in these towns. This also means that part of the labor force that works in these places will also have to move farther and farther away as time goes on, Santiago Bartolome stated. However, some however stress that sustainable foreign investment is not only possible, but rather their responsibility under current incentives. We understand that economic development must be inclusive and sustainable. That's why we work to ensure the local workforce has access to training, well-paying jobs, and a better quality of life. We also advocate for effective regulation of economic incentives, ensuring that they benefit those who comply with legal requirements and contribute to both economic and social interests. Woganiev stated. Tebi Tira Mas Fotos is currently charting in 17 Latin American countries, including Colombia, Venezuela, Argentina, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua, and its lead song placed third on Billboard's Global 200 song rank. Its influence, however, is centered on his home in Puerto Rico. Bad Bunny's influence is not limited to his music, but also extends to his capacity for economical impact. His 30-show residence in the Coliseo de Puerto Rico, titled I Don't Want to Leave Here, will have an estimated impact of $200 million USD, Woganiev noted. The residence in El Choli, recognized as being reggaeton's stomping ground, is being set to begin on July 11th and ended on September 14, 2025. It is now completely sold out, although its tickets went from $544 to $907 US. Jesus.
Fucking, that's a Taylor Swift ticket right there. You know?
That's a Beyonce ticket also right there. Again, I have thoughts. And included a 2-night stay at one of the event's hotel. Well, I guess if you're including hotel stay.
Yeah.
Okay, but
yeah, it's a bit better, but still tough for people to pay that. You know?
Right.
Like if you're local, what's the price? If you don't need to stay at the hotel, you know?
Right.
Like
yeah, it almost seems to kind of benefit the very thing that seemingly Bad Bunny is fighting against in his music or talking about in his music. It's like, yeah, you can talk about the gentrification all you want, but your tickets are selling for I'm going to say like for a free night stay, give or take, you know, plus a flight to Puerto Rico, which again, who's that going to benefit? It's not necessarily going to benefit the people on the island per se. That's going to benefit us who have the means to go.
Right.
Not even us needing right now, given that the economy is shit in the US too. So again, it's just people with means. And I said this to you, like, I think probably Monday, like people are screaming, you know, like, well, you know, Bad Bunny has said that he didn't want to play here because he was concerned about ICE as concerts. And again, for the Super Bowl, and basically, I think Christine was like, "Oh, we're gonna have ICE there," but who going to the Super Bowl though?
Yeah,
like not regular people, not the people that I'm sure Bad Bunny is talking about in his music. It's gonna be the rich white people mostly, and the people with means who will be able to go. Like you're going to arrest rich white, you're gonna arrest rich people. I mean, they probably might, but like. You want that smoke to arrest people with means because you think that they are, you know, of higher melanin than you. Like, okay, go off. But,
crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, oops. Let me go back. Creative industries, as per an Invest Puerto Rico study, generate $8.7 billion USD every year and employ over 87,000 people. Events led by artists like Benito capitalize opportunities, strengthen Puerto Rico's image as a competitive and dynamic business destination. Yeah, again, for people who can afford it. Beyond the economy, however, Dr. Haddad Nunez points out that Bad Bunny's success abroad might not reflect Boricua's sentiment toward him. Puerto Ricans are our own worst enemy. First, they hated Bad Bunny because of his savage slang he used, but now they have a political reason to hate him more than a moral one, she explained. Regardless, the power in voicing some Boricua's frustrations remain deeply emotional for the scholar. He's selling a narrative, he's creating conversations, and I'm just thankful that what we academics have been trying to raise the alarms about for so long, he's also using his platform to put out there. I believe in
joyful activism.
What does that mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, was that like just that phrase alone?
I call myself a joyful warrior.
Oh, you had that. I wasn't even thinking of that. Like,
yep.
Funny enough, you mentioned Kamala because she's going to appear in a second.
Oh no!
But anyway,
not that lady.
I believe in joyful. I believe in joyful activism, and that's what he's doing. Haddad Nunez exclaimed, holding back. Okay, so
yeah.
Then again, she's an academic, so
it's all the feels.
I think it's kind of on par for the court. That's all the feels. But so I happen to find this because they're talking about Bad Bunny as if he's the voice of the resistance. And I just happen to find this on Twitter. He doesn't post much on social media, so I think he posts mostly to his stories. But I happen to find that, this is a tweet. Did I not put in the tweet itself?
No, you did. This one right here.
Oh, yeah. So this is someone posted where, translated from Spanish, Bad Bunny backs Kamala Harris and shares her reel against Donald Trump. So, you could play this, but
There's so much at stake in this election for Puerto Rican voters and for Puerto Rico. And this election is not just a choice between Donald Trump and me. It is a choice between two very different visions for our nation. I will never forget what Donald Trump did and what he did not do when Puerto Rico needed a caring and a competent leader. He abandoned the island, tried to block aid after back-to-back devastating hurricanes, and offered nothing more than paper towels and insults. I will never forget what Donald Trump did and what he did not do when Puerto Rico needed a caring and a competent leader. He abandoned the island, tried to block aid after back-to-back devastating hurricanes, and offered nothing more than paper towels and insults. I will never forget what Donald Trump did.
For? Why?
This is the most election of our lifetime.
Yeah.
Right. So let me pull up this next tweet.
Yeah, I got you.
And then I have thoughts. So first tweet below, at Jasmine SW Free. Oh, kind of like that name. She said, and people will swear they get Bad Bunny's message, but not Beyonce's. So at Jazzy V responded, Bad Bunny using the Puerto Rican flag as a symbol of resistance and anti-colonialism, while Beyonce seeks to reclaim a flag that's been a symbol of colonialism all over the globe, including Puerto Rico. Not hard to see why one sticks and the other doesn't. That would make sense if Bad Bunny, like, here's my problem. You can't say you're resisting, obviously, against Donald Trump, but still endorse or support the left, the blue party, rather, when what have they done for your island? Like, we just mentioned about gentrification, like, that is bringing a lot of Puerto Ricans here. And, and this is something that MAGA is not going to talk about. And this is something that I kind of mentioned ad nauseum on this show is you're having issues with immigrants coming here. Why? Why are they coming? And again, given the article, and again, I know you've kind of talked about this, and we've talked about Puerto Rico collectively on the show over the past few years, but it's similar things that we similar in the States. Like corporations are looking for a cheap place to build business and to expand their wealth. Puerto Rico, since it's right here, great place to do that. So yeah, they're making money with all the tax incentives that they get to the detriment of the people who are living there that can't even afford to live there, that they're now coming here. and we have an issue with them coming here. So, look, I get the hype around Bad Bunny, but I have trouble with people calling him the voice of the resistance when he's not resisting the whole. If you're going to resist the government, resist all of it.
Yeah.
You can't just obviously go after Trump, given what he said about shithole countries, which I'm sure included Puerto Rico, but also not call out the Democratic Party. And look, you can fill in the blank, but again, Gaza and all that stuff aside, what have the Democrats done towards Puerto Rico? Have they given you statehood? Are they even
Not that
giving
you
you
want that.
independence? Are they doing
independence
anything
would be
in terms of
my choice.
right?
But
I'm saying right, but at minimum statehood. And I'm only saying that because there have been talks about DC becoming a state.
yeah.
So like, like Biden wasn't doing shit about that. What has Kamala said towards having Puerto Rico being a state? Like, as far as I know, nothing. So,
This
but
reminds me
this
of
is just
like the whole Lin-Manuel Miranda thing when he was becoming popular from Hamilton, right?
Hamilton, yeah.
Yeah, where he's Puerto Ricanos as well, and he talked about back then, the pharmaceutical companies came in, completely fucked over the island. He was talking about that shit then. I remember seeing segments about it, and like they go, "Oh, no, we hear you. We'll do something." And it's like the same thing I think is happening with like Bad Bunny. Is like he has this giant platform and popularity and money, and the things he's talking about, they go, "Oh no, we hear you. We're listening," and then they're really just doing it because he's popular, like, and they end up selling you out because of it. Like you end up going along with that shit because you go, "Hey, see, look, they're listening," and in reality, they're not. So
right.
But
I mean, I did a little research because I knew about Bad Bunny's residency. I thought he was done, but like apparently no, he's going on a world tour. Like I think probably starting now within the next month or so, but next year he's gonna be in Latin America, in Europe, and Australia. And what I'm seeing is that I was kind of curious. So like I looked up where he's performing. He's going to be in London next June. Now tickets for his show, at least in his London show, for what I saw right now, are about $200. Fine, but having to pay for airfare, having to pay for hotel, having to pay for that cost that's gonna be very easily at least $2,000 just to see Bad Bunny perform abroad. And the idea is like, who is going to afford being able to go?
Yeah.
And we had this conversation over the weekend when I shared that I wanted to do this story. This is the same tactic that Kendrick Lamar did this year. Like, he played at the Super Bowl. He got a lot of controversy given the visuals, but he used that as promotion for his tour, which also, from what I understand, was also very expensive. So at the end of the day, Bad Bunny can talk about the resistance and like all these themes as far as gentrification all he wants. He has a right to do that. And if he's inspiring Puerto Ricans to think in terms of their history, great. But we cannot lie that this is all in the vein of activism. This is all in the vein of using the aesthetics like Beyonce is prone to do,
right,
to sell records. So he's playing into the capitalist game like Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and every other major position before him, because at the end of the day, is he using his wealth? How's he using his wealth to better the lives of Puerto Ricans? Like, in terms of really moving policy, like to better the lives of his, of his people. Like, so yeah, it's one thing to talk about it and rap about it, cool, but like, put your money where your mouth is, sir. And then as an extension of that, like, how are you going to connect it to other issues that are of other people worldwide? Like, again, haven't heard his stance in terms of the genocide, notwithstanding. Has he mentioned anything in regards to what's happening in Latin America? And I'm sure he has, obviously.
And will be,
but
probably.
Again, I don't know. Like, I don't watch Bad
I don't know
Bunny
what
in
he's
that
using
regard. But
his extreme wealth for either, but like, Bendito, if you want to come on, I'll make fucking tostones y gandules, y mofongo. Like, we have a good time, dude. I'll bring out the coquito. I am not playing with this shit. All right? Like, I am very much down for that, but we'll figure out what you can do for your people together, but I doubt it. I doubt you'd be coming on, But anyway.
Right. But yeah, I'm just kind of like, it's, again, the aesthetics of politics and activism in terms of selling music. And yeah, it's great to have those conversations, but how are those conversations affecting change? And if he's not necessarily doing that, and again, just the idea of joyful activism to me, it's just kind of like almost a misnomer. I do not feel joy in the activism that I do.
No.
I wish I did, but most of the time I don't. You
the
see me, if
kumbaya
anything,
shit
I get
every liberal arts degree
like,
fucking loves to hear about,
Right.
Like,
if it's meant just to give you the warm and fuzzies, like, no,
that ain't
that's
shit.
not what it's meant to be. Like, and I don't think, to be fair, that's not what he intends for his music to be. Well, I mean, in part, if people are dancing and twerking or whatever to the songs or whatever. But again, how's he pushing the envelope? And he's just using this, again, he's using the controversy, like, again, wearing dress. Again, I don't mind, do you? But I feel he's doing these things to sell records in just building into the culture war even more. Like, because he knows that's what's going to sell. And he knows that's what's going to get the attention. Like, people who may have known the Bad Bunny know him now, or at least will be intrigued as to who is this guy, that they're going to start listening to his music. So kind of what we see in independent media. Cause a controversy, have people watch you and sub to you. Same shit. So that's not activism. That's dollar signs. That's dollar bills. For that person or people. Not necessarily for, the uplifting and the liberation of the people that you care about. So that's just my take on it. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to bring a different spin other than like the cultural talking point of being in the Super Bowl, which I get. But it's interesting to hear these other issues too that also kind of extend to Bad Bunny in terms of his music that are kind of being regarded as activism. I personally don't think it is. But let us know what you think. Voiceover, have you ever heard of Bad Bunny? Because even that chat, people are like, I don't know who this guy is. So like, have you heard of Bad Bunny? And let us know. Like, I'm gonna share my ignorance. Like, let us know, how has his songs resonated with you if you are a fan. But do you really believe he's the resistor that many academics and liberals are kind of claiming him to be? So let us know in the chat what you think. If you want to support us financially, you can scan the QR code you see on your screen, or you can go to the Ko-fi link you see at the bottom of your screen, or you can also go to PayPal, Cash App, or Substack if you want to give there. Links are in the description. And if you can't support us financially, and again, we know that hard times are had by many people, or at least will be, please like, share, and subscribe to our content in order to help us get to free K, hopefully by the end of the year. And we thank you for watching.